We looked at this thing about probably a year ago in terms of the prompt engineering as a science, because that was, if you remember in the beginning, that was the big deal about prompt engineering is the most important thing in terms of to talk to the bots and to do things to extract the most value out of the bots and to get the right structure and all of that sort of stuff. So there's many different sort of acronyms that people have used. I've used this one called Scribe, which basically just says specify a role, then give it some context, then give it a responsibility, instructions, and then do a bit of banter, and that's going for the iterations back and forth, and then ultimately evaluate the answer to see if everything is accurate and fine. So, and then if you look at the S specifically in the specify a role, we all know that by now that you tell AI to adopt a persona, like you are an expert copywriter, act as a experienced business consultant, or act as someone with high EQ, or you have 30 years of experience. So that gives sort of the AI a role. I'm not going to go through all of this teaching about prompt engineering. I want to show you the sort of the modern tools and stuff that is out there. But if you look at, but I'll just quickly run through this. The context in clarity is important. So share the relevant background, context, details, all of that sort of stuff. Provide a few examples. In prompt engineering world, they call it give it a few shots. So give it some say, here's typical ways that I want you to answer it. Here's Q and A, and then you give it some examples. And obviously, the more context, the better. Use delimiters to indicate parts of the input, like brackets, and they talk about markdown nowadays as a way to do that. And then refer to a book on the topic. So write it as if you're the author of the book is responding. Use key principles of the book. That's just a nice tip. And then the less the model must guess you want, the more likely you'll get it. That still applies. And then the next one is the responsibility. Clear outline to the task or the responsibility you want the AI to do. Be as specific as possible. Give step-by-step instructions. So that's interesting, the step-by-step instructions, because that is more and more becoming relevant. And the latest ChatGPT version, the 1.0 or 01 is the one that you don't have to give so much step-by-step instructions, because it kind of figures stuff out, right? It has the reasoning capability, but the regular model still, you need sort of step-by-step instructions to get exactly what you need. A good tip is also to say, explain it to me like I'm 8, or explain it to me like I'm in kindergarten or in high school or in university or whatever it is. That's also a good guide to use. And then the last one, or the next one, is instructions. Your task is something you must outline the steps you want the bot to take to achieve your goal, and then use reference text. So it's always good to give some citations so that the AI know where you're getting some of your information from, and that also is now a lot more possible with a lot of the chatbots being connected to the internet and being able to search for information as well. And then tell it about the format that you want, whether it's a 2-column spreadsheet or you want the row with the months and the columns with the categories, whatever. Sort of specify that you want, the length of how many words you want, preferred tone or style. And then I saw some people say no yapping, which often does clean up your results a little bit. And then the banter part is the iterations part, is the going back and forth. So we're saying don't always accept the first answer. Maybe go back and say, change this part up a little bit. Give me more context on this. Give me more detail about this part of the answer. Again, this new ChatGPT, the Canvas version actually allows for a lot of this stuff that you can go back and and not every time have to ask it to rewrite the whole thing, but you can ask it to rewrite just specific parts of it, or just the parts that you've highlighted. So that's quite useful as well. And then ask clarifying questions, provide additional feedback, use human communication skills. So this is sometimes just keep in mind, and maybe the simplest tip is just keep in mind that if you speak to, or if you think about, if you have to brief an employee or intern or something like that, how much information do you have to need to give them in order for them to give you a good piece of work back. And then ask clarification questions. Don't make that's something you can actually prompt the bot for, is saying, you, Mr. Bot, before you start rambling off and giving me the answers, if there's something in my prompt that doesn't make sense and you don't understand, ask me clarifying questions, don't make assumptions. And give it permission to say, I don't know. And, so you can add into your prompt to say, I don't know if you don't know. So that's also a nice little tip over there. And then finally, review the response for accuracy, because we know that the hallucinations is still a real thing. It's getting better, but that's still something that we've got to be careful for. And then ask the bot to evaluate the effectiveness or the accuracy of its own responses. You can actually tell it, what you just wrote. Go back and read it yourself, Mr. Bot, and let me know if everything is accurate, or even give it a score, a 1 out of 10, and tell me how good you think your answer is. And you'll be surprised that once it starts thinking about it like that, it actually comes back to you again. And then you can regenerate as often as you like. And then you might always ask, is there something that you missed that you didn't include in your answer? So these are all sort of things. And OpenAI came out with this model about prompting, and there's even more detail that you could go through in terms of learning how to prompt and everything. So it gets quite complicated. But luckily for us, if you are feeling despondent, thinking, I'm not prompting like that, I'm not, and I don't have time to sit and prompt the bots. I just recorded this thing where I was playing around with Claude and Anthropic. And if you go into not Claude, the main section, but actually just at the top here, you'll see it's called console.anthropic.com, or you can just Google Anthropic console. So Anthropic is the company that obviously runs Claude, and they've got this thing here which you can literally go and start prompting with Claude, generate a prompt, invite collaborators, get API keys. There's a prompt library and everything like that. But I want to show you how you can use Claude to help you to generate prompts. So basically, you can just come to this section in the dashboard section and at consoleanthropic.com and then start playing around with it. Now, I have to sort of qualify it that if you're going to use this, you do need to just sign up for another account. So this is not going to be the same account that you use the main Claude for. It is just a console one. But to sign up is for free, but it's sort of a pay-as-you-go program. So you can literally, it says here, this experimental prompt generator can turn a task description into a quality prompt. For best results, be sure to describe your task in as much detail as possible, including what input data the prompt should have and the output that you want to get and that sort of stuff. So it's got a couple of examples there of what you could do. So write an email, content moderation, or whatever it is. So you'll see if you just use a simple prompt. Actually, sorry, I just wanted to show when you go back, or in order to get an API key. So this is in order for you to pay as you go, so that you don't pay the $20 a month, that you paid like a few cents, 0.03 cents or whatever for anything you do in this console. And in order to use this functionality, you do need to put even if you put just $2 or $3 in there, it takes forever to get through that stuff, depending on how much you use it. But yeah, you do need to go and grab an API key from Claude, and that you'll get on the left-hand side here, where you get plans and billings, and then you get your API key just to be able to use this. So again, and I'll show you a way that you don't necessarily even have to spend money on it. It's just to get an account. So for instance, if you say you draft an email responding to a customer complaint and offer a resolution. So it's a very simple little prompt, but then if you ask it to generate it, it actually gives you a lot more detail. It gives you a different prompt, and it just says, okay, these are maybe the things that you should be including. And then if you open it up there, you'll see that it says, you will be drafting an email response to a customer complaint. I will provide you with the customer's original complaint email. So you're going to drop that in there, as well as some relevant information. Here's the customer's original complaint email, and here's the relevant, and please be careful to review the customer's email. So remember now, this is the prompt that you're going to give back to Claude with your customer's email to give you some information. So that piece over there, it reads and highlights, it says you still need to add that information before you actually run this as a prompt. So you can see it gives you a whole bunch of additional details, which you can then go through and see if it's relevant. It's usually quite accurate, and it's quite good, that information that it gives you. And then you run it, and then you'll see it gives you the response that you're going to get to this new prompt that it's given you. So it is and then the other thing you can do is take that prompt, and this is where you don't have to use your credits on Claude. You can take that prompt and you can bring it over to ChatGPT. Remember, that was Claude. You bring it into ChatGPT and you just drop your new prompt that Claude has helped you write in there, and now you've got a really decent prompt. You can see how much detail it's asking for, and then your answer is also going to be so much more comprehensive. Back in the Claude model, you can go and choose which Claude you want to work with there, and the Sonnet or the Haiku or whichever one it is, and you can go create some settings and stuff as well on that side. So it also will show you some of the code that is behind that, if you prefer to work in code, or which most of us just use the English one. So there, another thing is maybe you just need to insert a business name for this email. Then you can use the parameters at the top there. So when you put in those variables, remember when I said when you prompt, you can use brackets and things like this. So here you can actually come in and add in your business name, and you can give it needs, for this particular prompt, it needs audience answers. So you type it in there, and it will fill it into that prompt wherever those pieces of information is required. And now you can again run it, and you can see how comprehensive the answer is. So a very, very useful tool in terms of just getting really decent prompts. And I'll show you a little bit later why this is important to actually do this, especially when when it's stuff that you do on a regular basis. But just to stick with my recording here, if you go to that also gives you a prompt library that you can go to, and you can go look at it by category and go grab some prompts that is already there. So let's say that prompt that is a corporate clairvoyant, even if you put that into this prompt generator, it expands that one, and it gives a lot more details about that prompt that you that's going to make your answer so much better. The other thing to keep in mind, what I often say to people is that these prompts are, it's actually, if you give a really solid prompt, it's almost like a brand new tool that you've got at your disposal, a very customized, specialized tool that you could use. and therefore you can literally come up with any sort of tool that is relevant and applicable in your specific situation. So I'm just going to skip a little bit forward. If you go to OpenAI, so the same way that Claude has that platform, the console anthropic.com, OpenAI has the same thing. It has the background. So the APIs, just to clarify this again, this is where people who build apps and things like that connect to the back end of Claude and of ChatGPT in order to build or to pull information down into their apps. So this is where I'm kind of working in this back end, in this playground, if you will. It's called platform.openai.com. And there you also get this list of examples of prompts that you can use. So yeah, create a list of 8 questions for an interview with a science fiction author. You can take that across to the prompt generator, drop it in there, and it'll expand that prompt for you to include a lot more detail. And again, you can go and edit that prompt. And then once you created this prompt and it really works for you, and it's something you use quite often, you can copy this and or copy this prompt and save it somewhere so that you're able to kind of use it over and over again. So that's I think it's pretty cool. I've got another one to show you, but I'll maybe just give you an opportunity for any questions around this tool. Hi, Gary, I see you here.
Yeah, how's it going, Quinton?
How's it, man? How are you?
I don't know. I'm getting confused. There's so many things going on with AI now. I'm trying to focus on something. Yeah.
No, this makes it easier, Gary.
No, it does. I must say, I've used a lot of ChatGPT this week on reports on certain projects, actually in sanitation, and it was actually amazing what we got out of it. So it was.
Fantastic.
I think as long as you prompt it well and give it exact information, it's like anything, like a staff member, give it exact information, and you're getting more quality out once you put really more quality into the prompt. So
Absolutely.
it's definitely helping us in certain aspects of our business. Yeah.
Great, man. Yeah, so again, this is not meant to confuse you. This is basically a tool to say, if you think your prompt isn't good enough, yeah, go drop it in here and let this thing write your prompt for you, and then you can use it in future.
So this is called Anthropic.
Yeah, it's console.anthropic.com.
Why don't you drop it in the message? Just
Sure,
drop the link in the message.
I'll put the links in just now. Tony, you've got a question?
Yes. Is there a general term for this type of prompt assistant? Because you said that it's in different versions of the AI, and they have different names. Is it? Do we call it a prompt generator? Or
yeah, you can call it that. I think I'll drop in the links just now, but so actually let me do that, because I think that might help you guys a lot. So that's the console for Anthropic, and this is the one for OpenAI. So I'm going to just kind of copy those across for you and drop it in the chat. So just save those as bookmarks, and then if you need help with this type of thing, you guys could just go straight to do that. So yeah, so as I said, it's very useful in terms of generating nice quality prompts. Any other questions on that?
Thank you.
When it gives you a prompt and you want to you want to save it, that becomes a different tool now. It's different. One that helps you generate a prompt is different from one where you repeatedly use the same prompt.
Yeah. So
what do we call that? And is there?
Yeah.
Is it like a template? Does it now become a template?
Okay, so I think what you're referring to is a prompt library. So if you build up a library of different prompts that you use on a regular basis in your organization, it often works quite well if everybody has access to this library of well-established prompts that you use that everybody else can go to. But remember, something else that you could do is if you have the ChatGPT paid version, that you could actually take those prompts and build a GPT from it, a custom assistant. Remember those? If you put that as instructions for the GPTs, that's a way to save your prompt. And actually, I want to show you an example of where we've done that. And I'm just going to skip across to. And since I've recorded that one, there's actually another one. There's one at the same place at Anthropic where it says improve the existing prompt. So it's not necessarily generating a prompt, but let's say you think you've got a fairly decent prompt, you can actually just go in there, drop it in there, and improve on it. So now I want to show you another one. So you can use the Claude one, or if you're happy working in ChatGPT, this is one that they've got. So remember now, this is in that platform, openai.com. I know it could be confusing because it's not the usual ChatGPT and it's not the usual Claude. It is their API sections. It's the back end. It's called the playground section. And what you could do here is it doesn't say improve your prompt or whatever, but you could literally use this little button over here, and it's called generate. And once you put your instructions in there or your simple prompt that you want, you can say what you want to use it for, and then it's going to generate a well-crafted, established prompt for you. So that is actually super useful as well. So let me just see if this comes up. So if I click in there, I want 10 creative, engaging YouTube videos idea, then it literally will, and this is now the prompt, not the answer, it's the prompt. It says steps, identify the target audience, research the popular trends, idea generation, evaluate uniqueness, refinement. So it's giving it all this information that it needs to attend to. It needs to do the output format. It needs, maybe you can give it one or two examples. So you can imagine if you give this type of prompt as opposed to give me 10 ideas for YouTube videos, what you're going to get. You're going to get a much higher quality video. You're going to a much higher quality output. And then you can take that across again. You don't have to run it there. And the only reason why I say don't run it there is because you're going to pay 0.03 cents or 5 cents every time you run it there. So bring it across to your regular ChatGPT account and just run the prompt over there and get your answer from that, because you're paying your $20 there anyway, or you're using the free version. So just get your answer from there. So I think, and again, if you do it in the OpenAI one or the Claude one, it doesn't matter. You can take it to the other one. You're just running a prompt. ChatGPT doesn't know where you got the prompt from, so you can use it in either one of those things. It's got these settings over here like temperature and maximum tokens and things like that, and you can play around with it. But I kind of just leave it where it is. Just makes the output more creative or whatever it is. And then then you got your answer there. Then like I just said, if you want to create a GPT, in other words, a custom assistant, you can always then go in to your create a GPT thing with your new prompt now, and you can make that part of the instructions. So remember how to build a GPT. You got the name, description, and instructions over there, and you can just go drop that prompt in there. So now you've got a GPT that's always going to build or give you, you can call it a blog generator or something like that. And this is not for publishing to the whole wide world. You can use it just for your own purposes and for your own internal use, if you will. So because it's prompted the way you want it to be prompted. So yeah, that's another way to do it. If you guys, you could actually go look at other people's prompt builders in ChatGPT. In ChatGPT. This is called the Ultimate GPT Builder. Again, you can say what you want to write, and it helps you write those instructions. Here's another one that somebody built. It's called Sam, the Prompt Creator. I will help you build prompts that produce more consistent and relevant results. So these are also GPTs that can help you with writing prompts. So I'm going to leave it there for now and just kind of want to hear what you guys to say. Any questions about that? Anything I can help you to clarify what I just described? Yes, Tony.
Okay. So I have to sort of get my thoughts together. What you've described is like a prompt generator that helps you generate what would be a very excellent prompt in terms of all the parameters. But it's in a very closed. It's a kind of a closed prompt. It's not reflective of the uniqueness of the prompt you're developing. You know, what I found is that if I simply ask AI to ask me questions about what I want to prompt about, those questions will be more focused on what I'm looking for, as opposed to something that's more general.
Yes.
So sometimes I would switch between the two. And I often find that just asking it to ask me questions gives me the answers that I give, put it in a certain direction, which may be outside of that generalized structure.
Yeah. Actually, I'm very glad you mentioned that, Tony. That is something that you could very much do. Is if you don't know how to prompt, ask the AI how to prompt it. Ask the AI, what should I ask you if I want this and this, these results? So absolutely. And then, like I said earlier, you tell the AI, ask me any questions that you need to know to provide a comprehensive answer, so that the AI then comes back with that. I think that these prompt generators that I've shown you, that's really, if you're not too sure what to ask and what are those, you don't know what you don't know kind of things, then those things are useful because it at least provides you with that structure. Cool.
Yeah.
Good stuff. All right. Mkhize, you quiet. Have you got any questions? Oh, it's very quiet. Lucy, do you have any questions?
So I've never tried using ChatGPT with the prompts like you have. I use it a lot in terms of when we're doing company profiles, all of that kind of stuff, more in a design perspective for clients.
Yeah. Okay.
Especially when they give us sort of disjointed information and they want it to kind of have a more professional flow. So we'll use that and then obviously go back in and then just simplify a lot of the jargon that ChatGPT uses.
Yes.
And yeah, of course. And then I use the AI in Photoshop when we're wanting to generate, for example, additional background or increase the resolution of an image. So I use it in a very different way to what you're describing now.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Do you have a paid version of ChatGPT, or just you find with a free version?
No, I utilize the free version in Adobe. I have a paid version of the full software license. So the AI that we use there is part of the license. But ChatGPT, I pretty much make use of what's free.
Okay, that's pretty cool. The Adobe one is that just for images or design, or does it also give you text text answers?
To be honest, I've never utilized it for the text part of it, but I mean, I'll give you an example. So we had a client that it was a picture of an elephant, and it was sort of like a desert landscape. And they wanted the elephant to be about a third of the size and to have a lot more background in the back because of the way that they wanted to do this canvas in one of their boardrooms. So what we did is we utilized the AI in Photoshop to generate all of this additional background that we needed. So the size was 3 meters by about 2.2 meters. and actually it did a phenomenal job. Whereas before, a graphic designer would sit and maybe work on that for about maybe 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah.
It literally didn't take longer than 10 minutes.
Brilliant.
We just had to capture information, the size, the grain, the colors, all of that kind of thing that we wanted it to incorporate and still keep, that was naturally in the original photograph.
Right.
And it generated this, I want to say the wallpaper, because that's what it was used for, the wallpaper, and increased the resolution for us because we were scaling it to such a big scale.
That's amazing. Yeah. I know that what I was talking about was mainly around generating text or that sort of answers. Where what you were talking about is design, and for that, I suppose you can't beat Adobe if you're going to have a pay, especially if you have the paid version. There are so many different little tools though that you could use for design. But I find the free ones that people always say, I want a free one. And it's like, okay, there's tons of them, but you're going to battle with the quality that you get, and you're going to run out of credits in the day, and you're going to only so many credits. And I've tried to, just with personal pictures and stuff, try to blow them up. And then once you go and have them printed, you find out it wasn't properly upscaled. It was just kind of... It's just kind of stretched into different directions.
100%. So, I've had the same issue with testing some of the free versions that are available, but the paid license subscription that we've got with Adobe is definitely by far the better option that we've used so far.
Absolutely. Cool. Tony?
Yes, this is a question for Lucy, actually. In your example, Lucy, the client gave you the goal of reducing the size of the elephant, but would you consider putting into a prompt what they wanted to achieve, and how would that, what suggestions would the AI give you on how to achieve it? Because maybe making the elephant smaller may only be one way of achieving a certain goal. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think, it does, because look, we did have to give it the program some input, which I would imagine now is what you would refer to as prompts. So give it some input as to what the client's final image or final request was, and try to give it as much information so that, look, I think after about the third attempt is when we actually got it right for this particular project, because we were also playing around with AI and trying to see, how we could maximize using this to our advantage. We're currently in the time of the year where we're constantly working against deadlines and time, and so using AI to save more time that we could use for something else. Right. So spending that 10-15 minutes to kind of, the first attempt wasn't ideal, the second attempt was already better, the third attempt, and it's like you say, Tony, it's generating those prompts, but learning what is the right information to give the AI so that it can give me the right output.
Okay, because sometimes I find that if I go back to what I originally want to achieve and just give it the goal of what I want to achieve, it may give me options of how to achieve it. And scaling the elephant may not be the best option. It's as if your client said scaling is the way to go, and then you just looked at how to do it quickly. And I guess you've got time pressures. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but not necessarily, because at the end of the day, we still wanted to make sure that we ensured that the quality was of the utmost importance, because when you're doing a wallpaper that is 3 meters by 2 meters, that's an expensive project. And even though we were using AI, the whole idea was not to reduce any quality or lose or compromise any quality in the end product. It was to make sure that whatever we generated in terms of background, that it was seamless and it was crisp, and so that it wasn't noticeable that any of that was generated and wasn't part of the original image.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I know you'll probably pull up your nose for Canva, but it's actually got a lot of functionality and AI functionality now, and they quite aggressively rolling out a lot more things that you can use. But as a professional, I know you wouldn't use it, but I think for the lay designer, it's becoming a very useful tool as well.
Yes, if it's Canva Pro. But
Yes.
the free Canva, yeah. It's like a swear word in my industry, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, I that's why I didn't even want to bring it up, because I knew I was going to get into trouble. But yeah, Canva Pro obviously is where you get all the AI functionality, and they've now got the sort of the plugged in things like Leonardo, the image generator, and all of those sort of things that they've got built in there. And I think, you know, a lot of those image tools that you got, like grabbing and moving stuff around and filling in the background, you know, they've in the beginning they would just literally grab something and move it. Now they've got sliders and stuff that you can actually adjust it a little bit and get a little bit more creative with them. So I think for us plebs, that's still okay.